Hi, I'm Carolyn Forster and I'm sharing with you today some of the hints and tips that I talk about during my classes. So we'll be looking at the junctions from hand piecing, and these ones in particular are going to be for the 8-point star or a Lemoyne star. So when you look at the middle of the star, you've got 8 points coming together, and sometimes it's difficult to know how to negotiate those with your stitching so that you're keeping all the seam allowances upright and you're not sewing through any seam allowances. So on the piece that we have here, these are the stars for the Lemoyne star. These are the points, the diamonds, and we've been stitching, we've got to the last part where we stitched the two halves together, and I've already stitched 3/4 of the way along the seam, and we're coming up to the point where all the seam allowances come together. So I've got a pin, the junction is pinned, and as I stitch I'm approaching that pin and as close as I can get with my stitch, and I can take my pin out. So it's all quite straightforward so far. It is just a straight line of stitching, and I finish with a back stitch, so when I pull that it's nice and taut. And then all these seam allowances you need to start to push to the right, and the needle is going to go diagonally through that centre, coming up on the back of the piece of work that you're next going to be stitching, and then bring the needle up a stitch ahead on the front, and then you can start stitching. So you do your regular running stitch along there as you come away from the seam, away from the junction, and what we can see, if we turn this over now, is all the points are nice and snug. Because we're using a contrasting thread, you can actually see a smidgen of the red thread there, but you'd be stitching it in a blending thread. And that gives you your 8-point star with all the points nice and pointy, and they will all lie flat in the middle when you press them. There we go. Have a go with that with your stitching and see how you get on.